Hi there, I'm Katy Rose, and welcome to the Rooted Reinvention, a podcast exploring the real-world journey of reinventing who we are without burning out or burning our whole life down. I teach people how to make lasting change by melding my Masters of Neuroscience and my Cognitive Therapy qualification with common self-help tools, spiritual concepts, and my personal experience. Because being yourself doesn't need to feel so damn hard. To get more information on podcast episodes, please visit rootedreinvention.com/podcast. Welcome to 2021. Can hardly believe that it's actually here. But if this podcast exists, then it is, because that's how scheduling works. I discovered this in 2009, but it's definitely been gaining popularity kind of as the years go on. What's your word for the year, Ember? Do you have a word for 2021? The simplest idea of it is that you pick a word to guide your year. And by guide, I mean having some kind of compass when it comes to those day-to-day decisions. I personally think about using the word of the year to shape my sort of bigger goals as well. I guess you could call them resolutions or intentions. But even just thinking about, oh, I'm hungry, it's lunchtime, what am I going to have for lunch? Even the small decisions like that. Sometimes having a bit of a direction and a focus can just help us make decisions that are more in line with what we would like the outcome to be. For example, in 2011, my word of the year was strength, and I focused on kind of building up my strength in terms of physically working out, eating a little bit healthier, eating more protein, for example, and therefore just reminding myself that my word was strength reminded me that when I had two options for lunch and one was a bit healthier than the other, that what I really wanted, as much as I might like some chocolate at that time, what I really wanted was to be feeling strong, and I knew that I could pick the option that would help me feel that. And generally I use this as a bit of a, am I following this direction or this focus? Whenever you find yourself uncertain throughout the year, going, and what would this look like if I was, or if this was the truth of things? In case you want a few ideas, some of my previous words have been focus, strength, connect, improve, settle, kindness, create, trust, unfurl, and steadfast. And the cat is back. My word for 2021, I knew what I wanted it to embody. I knew the kind of impact I wanted it to have, but I did my usual trick, which is particularly noticed the last few years of picking a theme for the year, is that I try and encompass everything and anything. I try not to pick something that will invite too much challenge on myself. So a lot of people pick trust, or I can't even think of the examples, but there have definitely been some that I've seen where I've gone, oh, that feels like you're just inviting for the universe to burn your life down. And those of you who know Rooted Reinvention, that's something I'm trying to avoid in terms of not having to burn our life down just to be ourselves. And the main thing that happened in 2020 was that I got to reconnect really truly with my natural self, I guess, like the core truth of who I am when I'm not trying to fulfill some role, or when I can basically just be myself around my house for 9 months because we're not allowed to leave, for example. And I had originally picked spirit as my guiding word because spirits, in terms of alcohol, are like, they fuel the flames, and I want to kind of let my inner fire kind of power me throughout the next year. And spirit itself, when someone is spirited, they're quite high in energy, they're quite sort of bubbly to be around. Spirit in terms of connecting with my more spiritual side, again, that's something that I've definitely not got out in nature and not connected with my spiritual leanings so much this year, which I can partially blame on the pandemic. Then I recognised that this was the correct answer, and I'm saying correct answer in air quotes, that it almost felt like that's the allowed way of saying that I want to be my true, fierce, wild self. And as much as I tried to put myself into that box for the last week or two of 2020, I did realise in the final week that it wasn't going to cut it. And so my word for 2021 is wild. And I mean wild in the way that Glennon Doyle means untamed. I mean wild as in natural, as in without all the shoulds and musts that our society dictates that we should be. And using this as my guide, I'm hoping that that will lead to me being out in nature more, because that is wild. I'm hoping that when I get that little intuitive nudge, that I will listen to it. I'm hoping that even when I'm feeling a bit uncertain or a bit anxious, my true nature is that of someone who can always see light. Like, I've always been that person who's just said, well, you know, things aren't great right now, but they will be in the future. I've just always had this steadfast belief, and that is part of my inner nature, that I just believe in potential in everything. And I want to reconnect with that, and I feel like after 2020, I need to reconnect with that. So it's about my wild natural instincts, it's about having that free spirit, about walking barefoot across the grass or dancing in the rain. It's being that core truth of myself and focusing on the wild woman within. I try and keep my focus not specifically separated by feminine and masculine, or male and female, or whatever terms you want to use, like the dichotomy, because I feel like we all have power, we all have masculine and feminine energy within us, and actually we can all use either and all. However, I am biologically and I identify as female, and therefore that is my experience of the world. And in terms of the mythos, when it comes to wild women, there are a lot of various stories and tales and expectations and connotations that don't appear to happen with wild men, because men are just expected to be wild and girls are tamed. So without wishing to get on any kind of bandwagon around gender or gender identity or biology or anything like that, I am very much aware that although my audience includes all and every gender out there and those in between, I am living from a perspective of a female body and a female identifying experience. And I have read stories of wild women, and that has also definitely been a key theme underlying picking this word. So not here to lecture, not here to push beliefs on anyone, not here to make assumptions on anything, but in explaining my word of the year, I feel like there is a real deep sense of having experienced stories as a child about the wild woman. And there is definitely a hearkening back to that I'm looking for in 2021 to bring back into my life. I'm going to leave you with a couple of links in the show notes of resources for helping you find your word of the year, if that's something that you feel would be useful for you. And again, some people use this to shape their bigger goals. Some people use it just for those day-to-day decisions. So when it comes to exercise, I know that I want to be more in tune with my body. I want to be able to move as my body naturally should be able to. That will influence how I exercise in terms of, well, do I do specific workout routines that are designed to burn fat and marketed to the masses, or am I just going to dance around my living room because that's how my body will move in flow as it's designed to? And so when I'm setting a goal of how many books to read, that may not be shaped by Wild, but the books that I choose to read, like I'm looking at, there's a book called Earthing that I'm looking into. I'm currently working my way through Women Who Run with Wolves. Like some of the particular choices I make in those bigger goals, or just in those small day-to-day, are going to be shaped a little bit by, this is what I want to focus on. I want to read Wild. I feel like I've found my Wild and I want to expose her. I want to let her out. I want to set her free. And that's going to look like a bunch of different things in 2021. Touch wood, fingers crossed, pandemic, depending. Do you pick a word of the year? Do you set goals with a particular theme? Do you consider any specific focus or direction for 2021? Or do you normally, but you're not going to for this year, since a lot of people feel like we missed a year last year? As always, I would love to hear about your experiences. I did get some lovely emails after my final podcast of December, so thank you for those. All of the details to contact me or to look up anything that I mention is in the show notes, which you can find at rootedreinvention.com/podcast. As always, I hope that you are all safe and well and that everyone continues to be so. Welcome to 2021. We made it, and I will speak to you again next week. Bye. Thanks for listening, and as always, you can find out more at rootedreinvention.com. Take care, remember you are more capable than you often realise, and I'll see you next time. Bye.